Greetings. My name is Coach Jaki, and for more than 15 years, I have worked with individuals in their professional and personal capacities as they navigate change, growth, and life's significant transitions. Today, however, I am here on a very special mission, this being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. I would like to make my contribution by sharing what coaching male executives has taught me about men's mental health. Today I'll cover several topics, all drawn from what I have observed in my coaching. Men have mental health challenges too. Leadership can be lonely. Men are emotional beings. Self-awareness changes everything. Mental wellness is also about skills. Fatherhood matters more than many men realize. The cost of the strongman myth. Purpose and community, which are the invisible pillars of well-being, and seeking help is a sign of wisdom. This conversation is important. It matters because it can increase awareness by shedding light on mental health challenges that many men face in silence. It can reduce stigma by normalizing conversations about emotional well-being for men, and it will provide some practical insights to help men strengthen relationships and improve overall well-being. When people think about mental health challenges, men are often left out of the conversation. There is still a widespread belief that strength, success, position, or financial achievement somehow protects men from emotional struggles. My experience coaching senior executives has shown me the opposite. Many of the men I coach are high performers. They are leading organizations, making critical decisions, carrying responsibility for employees, shareholders, communities, and families. Yet beneath that success, many are dealing with significant stress, anxiety, burnout, and emotional exhaustion. One pattern I have observed repeatedly is that many men have learned to cope silently. They have been socialized to believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness, so they carry burdens alone. Another important observation is that men often express distress differently. Instead of openly saying, "I'm struggling," they may work longer hours, withdraw from relationships, use avoidance or aggression in conflict. And by the way, these seemingly opposite conflict styles have the same psychological roots. They take unnecessary risks or they shut down emotionally. These behaviors are often symptoms, not character flaws. And I would like us to pause and reflect on this question. What burden am I carrying that nobody knows about? For many men, simply acknowledging that burden is the first step towards improved well-being. One lesson I have learned from coaching is that emotional exhaustion among men is far more common than most people realize. It is simply discussed far less openly. The second lesson from coaching senior executives is seeing how lonely leadership can be. As people rise professionally, their circle often becomes smaller. They gain authority, influence, and responsibility, but they may lose safe spaces for honest conversations. The first challenge is the pressure to always appear strong. Leaders often feel they must project confidence and certainty even when they are uncertain themselves. Then, there is limited opportunity for vulnerability. Many executives tell me they cannot discuss their doubts with subordinates because they fear undermining confidence. And they cannot always discuss them with peers because of competition or politics. Thirdly, finding trusted confidants becomes difficult. They may know many people, but they trust very few. And finally, there is often a fear that admitting struggle will be interpreted as weakness or incompetence. This creates a paradox. The people responsible for supporting others often have very few people supporting them. One of the most powerful things coaching provides is a confidential, judgment-free space where leaders can think out loud. Many male executives are not lacking intelligence, capability, or solutions. They are lacking safe spaces to process their thoughts and emotions. The lesson here is that connection is not a luxury for leaders, for male leaders, for men. It is a necessity. Perhaps one of the biggest myths about men is that they are less emotional than women. The science and my coaching experience suggests something very different. Emotions are signals the body sends to tell you that something needs your attention. Anger says a boundary may have been crossed. Fear says that there is a perceived threat or uncertainty. Sadness, that there is loss, there is disappointment, or unmet expectations. And joy or happiness, that something aligns with your values or desires. When trust is established and men feel psychologically safe, they talk openly about a wide range of emotions. They speak about fear, fear of failure, fear of disappointing others, fear of losing what they have built. They speak about disappointment when their efforts go unnoticed or when life does not unfold as expected. They also speak about grief from losses they may never have fully processed because they had to be strong. They speak about loneliness despite being surrounded by people, and they speak about shame, regret, and even hope. So the issue is really not lack of emotion. The issue is often a lack of emotional vocabulary and the space to name it. Many men were never taught how to identify, name, and express their emotions in healthy ways. As a result, they experience emotions intensely but struggle to communicate them effectively. One of the gifts of coaching is helping men develop language for what they are experiencing. And once they can name an emotion, they can begin to understand it, manage it, and respond to it more constructively. Good mental health is not about becoming more emotional. It is about becoming more emotionally aware. One of the most transformative moments in coaching occurs when a client begins to understand what lies beneath a challenge. Many men initially focus on symptoms: stress, frustration, unresolved conflict, anxiety, poor interpersonal relationships, or lack of motivation. But when we explore further, deeper issues often emerge. Sometimes we discover unresolved childhood experiences that continue to influence adult behavior. Sometimes we uncover perfectionism, the belief that anything less than excellence is failure, that you must have your ducks in a row before you do anything. For many male executives, identity becomes tied almost entirely to achievement. Their sense of worth depends on performance, results, or status. Others are carrying the weight of family expectations, financial responsibilities, relationship tensions, or unprocessed losses. Many are also driven by a fear of failure that they rarely discuss openly. What is important is that these underlying factors often operate below conscious awareness. And self-awareness allows people to connect the dots between their experiences, beliefs, emotions, and behaviors. In coaching, I often say that awareness does not solve every problem, but it changes how we engage with the problem. When people understand the source of their stress or emotional pain, they gain greater choice in how they respond. And this is why one of the most important lessons I have learned is this: awareness precedes healing. You cannot heal before you are aware. Before we can change what is happening in our lives, we must first understand what is happening within us. But as important as awareness is, awareness alone is not enough. The next lesson I have learned is that mental well-being is supported by practical skills that can be learned practiced, and strengthened over time. Let us look at what those skills are and how men can develop them. One of the most encouraging lessons I have learned from coaching men is that mental wellness is not simply about how we feel. It's also about what we do. Many men assume that mental health is something you either have or you do not have. Rather, good mental health is something you either have or you do not have. In reality, mental wellness can be strengthened through intentional practice, just as physical fitness can be developed through exercise. The men who make the greatest progress are often not those with fewer challenges. They are those who develop practical skills to navigate life's demands more effectively. Let us look at some of those skills. First, emotional regulation. This does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It means learning how to experience strong emotions without being controlled by them. For example, feeling angry does not mean acting aggressively. Feeling anxious does not mean becoming paralyzed. Emotional regulation helps us respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Reflective journaling is also a skill that can help men or anyone process their thoughts internally rather, um, rather than allowing them to become tangled and repetitive. Writing creates clarity. So journaling can help men identify patterns, recognize triggers, understand recurring concerns, and gain perspective. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs in coaching happen when clients begin documenting what they are thinking and feeling. The third skill is stress management. The goal is not to eliminate stress that is impossible. In fact, we need stress to stay motivated, a certain amount of stress. The goal is to develop healthy ways of managing it. This may include exercise, adequate sleep, mindfulness practices like breathing, deep breathing, spiritual disciplines, hobbies, time in nature, or intentional recovery periods. What matters is having reliable strategies that help restore balance when pressure increases. The fourth skill is setting healthy boundaries. Many men feel responsible for everything and everyone. They say yes when they should say no. They overcommit and then become overwhelmed. Healthy boundaries protect your energy, your relationships, and your well being. Boundaries are not selfish, they are necessary for sustainable performance and healthy living. Asking for help, learning to ask for help. This is one of the hardest skills for men to develop because they have been conditioned to solve problems independently. Yet, asking for help is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of wisdom and self awareness. Whether through coaching, counseling, mentoring, friendship, or professional support, knowing when to reach out can prevent small struggles from becoming major crises. And the last skill I would like to talk about is engaging in meaningful conversations. Many men have conversations about work, politics, sports, business, current affairs. Far fewer have conversations about what is happening within them. Meaningful conversations build trust, deepen relationships, reduce isolation, and create emotional support networks. One authentic conversation can often provide more relief than weeks of silent struggle. So here's a closing thought about these skills. The key message of this slide is simple. Good mental health is not fixed. It can be strengthened. Just as we invest in developing our careers, our finances, and our physical health, we can also invest in developing the skills that support emotional and psychological well-being. And the good news is that every man, regardless of age or circumstances, can begin developing these skills today. So far, we have explored the challenges men face and the skills that support well-being. And the next lesson I have learned from coaching is that many men are deeply committed to their families and want to be more intentional, connected, and effective as fathers. But before that, I will take a few minutes to share some information about one of my programs. This is my commercial break. One of the most encouraging discoveries from coaching men is how deeply they care about their children. Despite the stereotype that men are primarily focused on work or achievement, many fathers I coach regularly express concerns about their role as parents. In fact, some of their greatest worries have got nothing to do with business and everything to do with how they show up for their family. Many carry a deep concern for their children's well-being, opportunities, character, and future. At the same time, many are afraid of getting parenting wrong. Some are trying to avoid repeating mistakes they experienced growing up, mistakes in the way they themselves were parented. Others are trying to provide something they never received themselves. Many are navigating fatherhood without a clear roadmap. A recurring theme is the desire to connect emotionally with their children. Men often want deeper relationships with their sons and daughters, but they're not always sure how to build those connections. So they may ask themselves, how do I have difficult conversations? How do I stay connected during adolescence? How do I express love in ways my children understand? How do I balance discipline with empathy? The good news is that parenting is not something we are simply expected to know. Parenting is a learnable skill. Just as leadership can be developed, emotional presence can be developed. Listening can be learned, communication can be improved, connection can be strengthened. And so one of the most important messages I want fathers to hear is this: you do not need to be a perfect parent to be a positive influence. What children often need most is a parent who is present, engaged, and willing to keep learning. As someone who has spent years coaching adolescents, young adults, and parents, I have seen firsthand how transformative intentional parenting can be, not only for the children, but also for fathers themselves. So I'd like you to reflect on this. What kind of relationship do I want my children to describe when they talk to me, when they talk about me 20 years from now? And then start doing the things that will develop that relationship. Many of the mental health challenges men experience are not caused by weaknesses. Ironically, they are often caused by an outdated and uninterrogated definition of strength. From an early age, many boys receive messages such as man up, don't cry, don't complain, don't show weakness, solve your own problems, you're a man. These messages are often intended to build resilience, but they can have unintended consequences when interpreted too rigidly, when they are not interrogated. Over time, men learn to suppress emotions rather than understand them. They isolate themselves when they need connection. They delay seeking help until problems become overwhelming. Their relationships suffer because emotional honesty is replaced by silence. And eventually, this pattern can contribute to burnout, emotional exhaustion, and loneliness. What I have learned through coaching is that many successful men spend years carrying burdens they were never meant to carry alone. The solution is not abandoning strength. The solution is redefining strength. Interrogate that strongman myth. True strength includes self-awareness, the ability to understand what is happening within you. True strength includes vulnerability. I'm not talking about crying. I'm talking about the courage to be honest about your struggles. True strength includes asking for relevant support when it is needed. And true strength includes emotional honesty, the ability to express what you feel in healthy and constructive ways. The strongest men I have worked with are not the men who never struggle. They are the men who are willing to face their struggles honestly and take responsibility for their well being. So here is a reflection for you. What definition of strength are you living by? And is it helping or hurting you? Another lesson I have learned from coaching men is that many have extensive networks but few deep relationships. Many executives can fill a conference room with people they know. They have colleagues, clients, suppliers, board members, business partners, and other professional contacts. Yet, when I ask, who can you call at 10 p.m. when life falls apart? The answer is often much less clear because they have professional connections but few trusted friends. The thing is, as responsibilities increase, friendships can unintentionally become neglected. Careers, family obligations, leadership responsibilities, all these things, they consume time and energy. And the result can be a profound sense of isolation. But human beings are wired for connection. Mental health is not simply an individual issue, it is also a relational issue. Meaningful connection acts as a protective factor against stress, anxiety, depression, and burnout. So, one question I often encourage men to consider is, who knows the real me? Not the title, not the achievements, not the professional image, not which car I drive. Who knows the person behind those things? Strong communities create safe spaces where men can be honest, supported, challenged, and encouraged. No one thrives in isolation. So think about three people with whom you can be completely honest. Do you have three people with whom you can be completely honest? And if you don't, what is that telling you? Many of the executives I coach have achieved goals that once seemed impossible. They have built successful careers, acquired financial security, and accumulated professional accomplishments. Yet, surprisingly, many eventually find themselves asking a profound question. Is this all there is? This question is not a sign of failure. It is often a sign that deeper human needs are seeking attention. Achievement alone rarely sustains long-term well-being. People need purpose. They need a sense that their lives matter beyond targets, profits, promotions, and performance indicators. Purpose often emerges through several dimensions. For some, it comes from contributing to something larger than themselves. For others, it comes through family, mentoring, service, faith, or community involvement. Many discover that legacy matters more than success alone. Others reconnect with their values and begin asking whether the way they are living reflects what they truly believe. One of the most important insights from coaching is that well being improves when success and significance align. When our achievements are connected to our values, relationships, and sense of contribution, life feels more meaningful and sustainable. Purpose acts as a compass during difficult seasons. It reminds us why we continue moving forward. So, as you think about these pillars of well being, ask yourself this question: beyond achievement, what gives my life meaning? So, over the past several minutes, we have explored some important lessons that I have learned about men's mental health, leadership, emotions, relationships, fatherhood, purpose, and support. Yet, information is only valuable if it leads to transformation. And transformation begins when information becomes personal. So, I'd like to invite you to take a few moments to reflect honestly. You don't need to share your answers with anyone. This is simply an opportunity to check in with yourself. Take a deep breath, pause, and answer these questions as honestly as you can. What is currently weighing most heavily on you? Many men are carrying something. It may be a work challenge, a financial concern, a relationship issue, a parenting struggle, a health concern, or simply the pressure of trying to hold everything together. The question is not whether you're carrying something, the question is whether you have acknowledged it. What occupies your thoughts when the day becomes quiet? What burden feels heaviest right now? Second question is, who can you speak honestly with? One of the themes we've discussed today is loneliness. Many men have contacts, colleagues, and acquaintances. Fewer have people with whom they can be completely honest. Who are the people in your life that you trust? Who can you who can listen without trying to fix you? Who allows you to be truly, fully human? And if no one comes to mind, what might that be telling you? Question 3. What emotion have you been avoiding? Many men become skilled at avoiding uncomfortable emotions. They distract themselves, they stay busy, they focus on work, they move quickly to problem solving. But avoided emotions don't disappear. They often show up in other ways: stress, irritability, exhaustion, withdrawal, or conflict. Is there an emotion you've been pushing aside? Fear, disappointment, grief, shame, loneliness, or perhaps anger? What might happen if you acknowledged it instead of avoiding it? Question number 4. Sometimes we know exactly what we need, but struggle to ask for it. What support do you need right now? Support may look different for different people. It may be a conversation, a coach, a mentor, a counselor, a friend, a spouse, a faith community. What kind of support would make the greatest difference in your life right now? And what is stopping you from seeking it? And finally, what one step could improve your well being this month? We often think change requires dramatic action, but sustainable change usually begins with one small step. Perhaps it's scheduling a conversation. Perhaps it's taking better care of your physical health. Perhaps it's reconnecting with an old friend. Perhaps it's setting a boundary. Perhaps it's asking for help. What is one realistic action you could take in the next 3 days that would improve your well being in the next 30 days? Not 10 steps, just one. And as you reflect on your responses, I want to remind you that self awareness is not weakness. Self awareness is wisdom. Many of the breakthroughs I see in coaching begin with moments exactly like this, moments when someone pauses long enough to tell themselves the truth. And the purpose of these questions is not to create guilt or pressure, it is to create awareness. As we've discussed throughout this webinar, awareness comes before healing. You must know what is hurting in order to stop the pain. Let's now turn to our final lesson: why seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but one of wisdom. Many men have been taught that strength means handling everything alone. Yet some of the healthiest and most effective men I have worked with understand a different truth. No one succeeds alone. No one heals alone. No one thrives alone. Support comes in many forms. Sometimes it comes through coaching, where men gain clarity, self-awareness, and accountability. Sometimes it comes through mentoring from someone who has walked a similar path. It could be professional counseling, where you get the support needed to address deeper emotional challenges. For others, peer support groups or men's groups provide a sense of connection and shared understanding. The important thing is not which form of support you choose. The important thing is that you choose not to carry everything alone. I often remind my clients that asking for support is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of wisdom. It demonstrates self-awareness, courage, and commitment to growth. The strongest men I know are not those who never struggle. They are the men who recognize when it is time to invite others into the journey. Because resilience is not built through isolation. It is built through connection. And as we come to the end of this webinar, I would like to leave you with one final reflection. After years of coaching men in leadership, I have learned that behind every title, every achievement, every position of responsibility is a human being. A human being who wants to be understood. A human being who wants meaningful relationships. A human being who seeks purpose, connection, and well-being. The men I have worked with are not looking for perfection. They're looking for ways to navigate life more intentionally, more authentically, and more sustainably. So good men's mental health is not simply about preventing illness. It's about creating conditions where men can thrive, where they can thrive as leaders, as husbands and partners, as fathers, as friends, as members of their communities. My hope is that today's conversation has encouraged you to reflect honestly on your own well-being and perhaps begin a conversation that needs to happen. And if there's one message I would like you to remember, it is this. You don't have to carry everything alone. But also, are you the kind of person who helps others carry their burdens? Thank you for investing this time in yourself and for being part of this important conversation. I look forward to your questions and reflections. And I'd like to invite you to consider as we finish, what is one insight or action you're taking away from this conversation? Thank you very much for your attention. I have an emotional intelligence program on Udemy. If you scan this QR code, it will take you directly to it, and you may consider doing that self-paced